Welcome to Disability Empowerment Now, Season 4, bonus episode number 6, I believe. I don't know at this point. I'm your host, Keith Murphy DiConcini, and I'm back with my good friend Alaina Mallet, and we're recording the third part of the spiritual recovery of Depeche Mode. Alaina, welcome back to the show.
Well, thanks for having me over and over again. I appreciate it.
Yes, so I really faked out the ending of the last episode where I pulled a fast one on you and claimed that my producer was calling me and that we needed to cut right there.
Yeah,
And
and I
you
fell for
believe
it.
me, I was that convincing. Nothing of the sort happened. I made that up to go along with a comment you had made just a few minutes earlier. Uh, I enjoyed that fake out. I really did. I think
Yeah.
it added enough suspense at the end of the last episode that we were going to have to go into overtime. This is part 3 of our series on the spiritual recovery of Depeche Mode, and we're finally at their most recent album. Would you like to start us off?
Yes. So we have to backpedal to Delta Machine. One
Yes,
song. One song.
your
We missed it.
your most favorite album.
Yeah, my favorite album with some of my favorite songs. Ironically, not my favorite album, but seriously, there's some like bangers on that one. So should be higher. We skipped over. And I think I'd put it on the list and somehow we just got lost in our talk. And then I think it fell off the list when I gave a final list. But should be higher. He uses a term that implies he's talking to a female. However, there's also a lot of indication that this could be a drug. Drugs are often referred to as females. And there is a sense in the song with
Wait,
lyrics.
what?
Yeah.
Huh? What?
You've never heard of
Back
drugs
up.
being referred to as women?
No, I
Like Molly?
have. Okay, well, I mean, Molly, I get.
Or like they call heroin like a she grabs you, but like they've referred to her as like a crow, like taking you under her wings and killing you. No, you've never heard of this? Lucy in the Sky with
No.
Diamonds? None of that?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's Beatles. Dumba. Yeah, I mean, wow, continue, go on.
Am I blowing your mind with the meaning of this song?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. All right. I was like, finding out aside that drugs are often referred to as women or like a bitch, right? Like um, yeah, I'm glad I'm blowing your mind with this song. So there's a few ways you could see this song. One is it's about a relationship, like romantically, like, and Depeche Mode has made it very clear they're heterosexuals. There never seems to be any indicator that there's men, or like confusion or not confusion. That's the wrong word to say. They're not curious. You know what I mean? That's the word I meant to say. Curious. They're not curious. They very much have indicated they are heterosexual men who like girls and talk about girls. And you and I saw that in some of their documentaries. I'm giggling like little boys at, 30, being like, we talk about chicks,
Yeah.
religion, and politics. They're like, what else is there? But I also think should be higher because we often dismiss that God is not always seen as a male anymore. We in the modern society have accepted she could be could be a female power. Um, and there is a lyric that says, "Your arms are infected, it's holding the truth," which to some indication suggests heroin, right? Like Dave had a heroin
Yeah.
addiction previously. But then he also says, "Stop all your crying, this one you'll lose, and you should be higher. Now take it higher." And then he sings another lyric that says, it's like, "Your book, it holds the truth. But stop all your lying." And so I really think when he talks about a book, while some of us could just say it's the pages of our book, right? It's the story of our life. I also think he could be referring to the Bible or a higher power where we often the Torah, right? Or other, I'm not, forgive me, audience, I'm not familiar with every book in all the religions, but like the Book of Mormon, the Torah, the Bible. I really think when he's saying you should be higher, I'll take you higher, and don't be afraid, he sings, you just have to pray. And
Yeah.
so I really think like while that could indicate a drug user trying to get through the throes of a drug addiction, right? Is like you kind of have to, pray, like hang on tight, right? I also think it could be an ominous God, right? And he says, "Your lies are more attractive than the truth. Um, Love is all you need," which is often a religious thing. And God always says that if you just accept my love, I'll give you power, right? Especially in the Catholic faith. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? There is a real ominous picture that there's like you're not talking to Jesus, you're going straight to God, right? Like, and you do that through going to your priest, right? And so there's this ominous to God that you can't even reach God. You can't talk to Jesus and you can't reach God in the Catholic faith, right? And I don't know about other faiths, but like, whereas like Baptists and stuff and more like American religions, right? Version of Christianity has been more direct relation to either one, right? You can talk to God or Jesus, they're your homies. But
Yeah.
like in a lot of original, when we go back to like, not original, but when we go back to like medieval times, right? Or the Crusades, you're talking about a God who is kind of a jerk. He's kind of
Yeah.
scary. You know what I mean? And kills everybody in the Exodus over and over again and kind of holds a threat over us all the time. And I really feel like that song, with the way the music is, and there's this like build up with the song, and it just starts getting like darker and deeper and crazier. Like, while that could sound like the drug addiction, I also think it's a God like saying, you got to trust me. You got to put, and I know that's a huge description, but "Should Be Higher" is in like my top Depeche Mode songs. It, like I said, despite the album not being my favorite, "Soothe My Soul," "Slow," and um, "Should Be Higher" are just mega jams. And "Should Be Higher" is my favorite on that one. I think it's just, it hits in a frighteningly ominous way that only Depeche Mode achieves without sounding too exotic where it kind of hurts your ears. It's melodic.
So let's get into their most recent album.
Memento Mori, also very religious, and spiritual, like both. It's very combined.
Probably their most religious and spiritual since Songs of Faith and Devotion.
I think so.
As a concept album, I
Yes,
should
maybe as a
add
concept, because I was gonna
that.
say I feel like Playing the Angel. We covered a lot on Playing the
Yes,
Angel,
no, no,
but I,
Ultra and Playing the Angel are uh, sink deeply into that territory as well. But I've
I think
always viewed songs
yeah,
and Mentor as concept albums that
yeah,
really dive into both religious
yeah,
and spiritual matters, and they hold nothing back.
yeah. I would agree with you that Songs of Faith and Devotion does not veer the way some of their albums do. Like, a lot of their albums will still give you some reprieve from the subject matter and go to something else. So you're absolutely right. Like Playing the Angel hits towards some of the kind of like cosmic realm, and like realm of humanity itself. And it so is it
which
is
they would follow up and extremely talk
yeah.
about on Sounds of the
Yeah, which
Universe.
I think was a kind of a mistake. But and then Ultra, you're right, has kind of a back and forth between spiritual awakening and recovery, drug
Yeah,
recovery. And so you're right. It's those albums don't strictly stick to the subject matter. With Songs of Faith and Devotion, there is no reprieve from the subject. It's song
no,
after song after song. You're absolutely
yeah.
right. And so I feel like Memento Mori is a really fascinating album. It really borders on my favorite. We've talked about this. It's between that and Black Celebration for me, and I don't want to necessarily categorize one as better than the other. And I think any Depeche Mode fan struggles to choose their favorite, because you'll be like for you it's like Songs of Faith and Devotion, but the next minute you're texting me and you're like Ultra is hitting so hard this week, and I'm like, and then I listen, I'm like, oh my god, this album's incredible. I think Memento Mori, I kind of want, I know you and I've debated on this. You're ready to hear more from them. And I'm kind of like, I'm cool if they close out. I really am scared to hear anything after Memento Mori, if that tells fans how good this album is. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I did say that I'm ready to hear more, particularly with the maturity and the uh, reflection and introspection of the two remaining members. But I also agree with you. If they go out on any album, and I think Fletch would have fucking loved this
Yeah.
album
Yeah.
he had Martin sent the demos just a few days or a
Yeah.
week or two earlier, Andy would have been all
Oh,
over
yeah. Oh, yeah.
this album. And so if they want to cap it here, it's probably the most beautiful tribute and the greatest closer of a band's history
Yeah.
as you can get.
I
Uh,
was, yeah.
but I think that Martin, even though he says he had really hard time writing songs that he thinks are up to snuff. And I think when Dave started help writing songs and when they started co-writing together, they're in their early 60s.
Yeah.
And I think the allure is still there for
Completely.
them in terms of, I think Dave's hips would have to both go, uh, uh, they
Yeah.
both say, okay, we have more than enough money. We're set. This is a great closer. Let's just do solo projects
Yeah.
from now on, or EPs or whatever. Uh, they would have to be in their late 60s to early to mid 70s to really be at a stopping
Yeah,
point in terms of their rationale or family issues or whatever. And we hope that they don't have
of
uh,
course. Yeah.
those. But I think the intoxicating allure of exploring more uh, is still present there. So whether or not we want to hear,
Yeah. Yeah.
like the only other podcast episode I've listened to was for this series, and we'll talk about the next series we're going to do together. I could not have imagined any of this when I interviewed you last year. I thought one and done, great,
Yeah.
but smart lads
Yeah, that was
who,
a great episode, wasn't it?
yeah, yeah, and I'm trying to remember who's the old famous men and
Will Arnett, Jason Bateman, and Sean Hayes.
yeah, John Hayes is a massive, massive
Fan
Depeche
of Depeche Mode.
Mode fan.
Yeah.
And Martin made a interesting comment in that interview that at least when it was recorded, a lot of the fans don't like their newer stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't think even that would stop them from, if there's new stuff,
Yeah.
there's new stuff, and they're going to release it. Like the majority of this album with the co-writer Martin wrote with outside of the band, which he had never done before
Yeah.
in his career. He thought that these songs were way too good for a side project. They
Yeah.
needed to be Depeche Mode songs.
And they were. I
And
mean,
they
so
were.
we'll dig into the song so we don't keep the suspense from the audience. I so let me I'm gonna jump around on songs. I'm not gonna go in
Yeah,
order on this album. I think Never Let Me Go. I don't know how they're gonna top that. I mean it's the second to last song, comes before Speak to Me. So for audience listening, this album is very climatic. It's a
yeah,
very like it grows throughout the album, and it comes to the again a nice. I love when they do ominous. I love when the
yeah,
songs are strange and weird and kind of like haunting. And
yeah,
Never Let Me Go is a stretch for them. It's they haven't really done a rock sound in a long time, at
yeah,
least since Playing the Angel or Ultra. I would even wager more Ultra. I think Playing the Angel
yeah,
is still very digital.
yeah,
Um I you haven't heard that screeching guitar in a long time, and
no,
it's in a way that they've never played before. You could tell there was some extra writers on the album, and I
yeah,
think the writers were Depeche Mode fans. I mean, they legitimately knew
yeah,
what they were doing. Um, but the Never Let Me Go is not necessarily strictly religious. I think again that's a more crossover one, and it could certainly
yeah,
be in the next series. But I think we can dig deep into Memento Mori on here as kind of a segue between both for the audience listening, and we'll kind of maybe not do Memento Mori in the next, or just kind of mull over it, because I really think a lot of these songs are crossovers, but Never Let Me Go, um, I really think is either a relationship, again, a romantic relationship. He doesn't want to lose it. You know, he's on the high, but I also really think this can be a relationship with a higher power. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And I also think like Should Be Higher, it could actually be God singing. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So as I was talking about on Should Be Higher, is it actually may be the omnipresence speaking, not
yeah,
Depeche Mode. And I think it could be the same with Never Let Me Go, is this is not a personal perspective. This is somebody saying, or even him saying to God, never let me go. I think there's this kind of dynamic that they're singing about, a power dynamic, and the dependency they've gained, you know what I mean, to
yeah,
feel a certain way. And so whether that's through another human, whether that's through a presence, or whether the presence themselves is saying, I need you. You know what I mean? But the lyrics like watch our dreams unfold in color and underneath the moon will wander sounds a little romantic, but also again sounds like humans together, right? This
yeah,
collective of this vision, you know, of life. And it's why it's to this like snappy beat and the
yeah,
shrieking, screeching guitar that they've never done. I have no idea, but it's absolute brilliance. The ending gets so climatic with him just repeating it over and over again and the reverb on his voice. And um Dave just has that ability to sound haunting, right? He has ability
yeah,
to transcend his voice throughout the song and just to kind of like shut off and then like hit speak to me.
yeah,
It's the most amazing ending to like it's the most amazing last two songs on any of their albums. Like they've never ended an album any better than that. Or like I said, I don't think any band in the world has ever created such a awesome two last songs.
yeah. I mean, and that's why I compare it so deeply with songs of faith and devotion because they did that also on songs.
Yes.
Uh, and they carried that on with the tour they did for that album, the infamous devotional tour, which we barely touched on. Uh, but
It's a good crossover album. We'll be digging deep on the next part, I think.
oh, yes, yes. And I mean, Memento Mori goes a lot of places
Yeah.
that
Oh,
you will probably not expect them to go. It's a very cinematic
yes.
album
Yeah.
and very, very haunting. A lot of the songs could cross over, and it's a crossover album with songs and
Yeah.
even with Ultra. I mean, those three albums
Yes.
were made under the grind,
Yes.
under trauma, under stress, under the darkest of times uh, in the band's
Yeah.
history. And they're bloody brilliant
Yeah.
albums. The output, particularly the last two songs in each album
Yeah. Are
of
very dramatic.
songs Ultra and Memento Mori, they just close out all of those offerings in the most exquisite way
Yeah.
possible.
So leading into the epic ending, like you said, I agree. All three albums have incredible endings. So my favorite on this album is Always, and on Memento Mori. And Always comes before Never Let Me Go, which has a departure from their normal sound. Again, what I love about Memento Mori is it sounds just like Depeche Mode and just different enough to be things they've never really fully done.
Yeah.
And there's almost this reggae beat in the beginning. It's this
Yeah.
offbeat and this kind of like rhythmic, slow, but with digital sounds. And then it kind of stays with a little bit of that reggae beat, but except it sounds again like this digital edginess of like it's almost like somebody shaking the music. It's like like the whole time underneath. And it's again, Dave just becomes more and more ominous as the song goes
Yeah.
on. It's like the reverb's enhanced more and his voice is echoing further, and um this sweeping synths at all the at the choruses are climatic, and you just picture, I've always pictured this like water, like I said, it's cinematic. I picture this like water effect if it was a music video, that it's like
Yeah.
the fuzz on the TV screen from the 90s, you know what I mean? And then mixed with like water flowing through, and it's like you're just seeing them like kind of edgy, as they're singing. It's like the effect is, and like you just picture it's like they can't even like control it, like maybe a tunnel,
Yeah.
it's so sweeping sounding. And I think the lyrics, as he says, it's always you, and then there's you, and it's always you. I really think again can transcend that love and devotion of like you're the person, you're my, everything. It's always you in the end. But I also really think again we're talking about a relationship with God.
Yeah.
He says, "My love, the world's upside down. My love, reality's cracked." I really don't think he's singing to a romantic partner. I think he's singing to God, or God is
Yeah.
singing to them again. And there's this kind of back and forth discussion of when reality's cracked, when the world's upside down, when I'm, feeling kind of lost, it's like there's you. And then there's
Yeah.
you, and then it's always you. And the way it's like it becomes hypnotic and sweeping, and it's I don't know if there's any other way to describe that song other than people got to go listen. And
Yeah.
again, I love that like beat. They've never really done that before. Is this? I mean, they're good with the offbeats. I've always wondered if Depeche Mode kind of invented that with the digital pop music, because I don't recall their sound prior to them. You know what I mean? The
Yeah.
way they do these offbeat slams, but that song takes it to a whole new level of
Yeah.
like slow, rhythmic, reggae. Like it's weird. And I think like again, if you're talking about the climax of an album, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? There's this, it's like they're bringing you to the strangeness. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They're like, come on in, like it's
Yeah.
omnipresent here, but we're doing it. And then it's like Never Let Me Go is this like grip. It's like this
Yeah.
like drug grip on like
Yeah.
cocaine, like they shot some cocaine down, you know what I mean? And snorted it up and like took an upper at the same time and just were like, um, and I think like leading into Always You is why am I drawing a blank? Oh, Before We Drown.
Yeah.
Incredible. Not about God. Definitely about love and romance.
Yeah.
But I think if we're gushing over this album and the lead into these omnipresent relationships, whether it's through another human or through a spirit or kind of the transcendence of both, right? Which is kind of why I think what Depeche Mode's specialty
Yeah.
is letting it kind of be like both meanings. Before We Drown is sweet, it's vulnerable, it's made for Dave. I don't think
Yeah.
anybody else could have sang that song.
Yeah. And I
It's
believe he wrote it.
did he? Oh my god, I believe it. It's
Yeah.
so sweet and
Let me
vulnerable.
confirm that.
Yeah. For the audience,
Okay.
the lyrics he opens with, "I've been thinking I could come back home." And it sets up the whole song is, you have a couple who has lost their way together, they've fallen apart, and he says, "How would that be, you and I alone, all alone?" And then I love the beautiful lyrics at the chorus is, "First we stand up and then we fall down. Um, we have to move forward before we drown." And it's
Yeah.
it's again a very slow rhythmic song for them. I think the sound effects are perfectly placed. The violins, they bring in the violins. You and I have talked about that. We love when Depeche Mode does violins, and usually
Yeah,
they're on Martin songs. And so it was
yeah,
very sweet to hear Dave get his chance with the
yeah,
orchestra behind him, whether it's a synth orchestra or a real one. It still just sounded so sweet, and it matched the sweeping tones of the digital, like whoop, 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 whoop. It has like
yeah,
these little doo-woppy sounds that kind of hit at these points, and it's like Depeche Mode specialty is always filling in the breakdowns, in the
yeah.
moments that a lot of bands I think struggle with, and songs can fall flat, and they keep it dynamic when they're not singing. And again, the ending is like it gets bigger, it gets sweeping, and Martin's voice is always a great addition to give power to the song, and especially if it's kind of an emotional song. And so Martin
Yeah,
just doing his whoas, it's just
yeah,
like, and his like drown, his like background vocals. And so it's like the way they layer the two of them at the end, it's like Dave's voice is always so soothing and hypnotic, and his baritone just like I can't even hit it, right? I'm going to massacre the song, but he just keeps chanting, "We drown," nice and slow. And Martin, it's like they've layered him 2, 3 times,
yeah.
doing different lyrics. He's bouncing all over the place, and it's beautiful and haunting.
So Dave did
He did
write.
write it. Yeah, it
Yeah,
really sounds like it's coming from his heart.
yeah. And
Um,
I mean, the one song they wrote, they co-wrote together, a wagging tongue,
yeah,
which the only thing I don't like about that song is the title. I think it's a throwaway title. I think they should have named it, and probably named the album, uh, Watch Another Angel
Angel.
Die. I
Yeah,
think that would have been jarring, confusing.
certainly confusing. Yeah,
It would have piqued a lot of interest because you really don't know
what that means. Yeah,
what that means.
versus
And
wagging tongue's pretty
yeah,
indicative of useless words,
yeah,
useless
and I
gossip.
mean, yeah, eh, like Goats again, the track after that, which we'll talk about more in depth, they could have just called the album that. They could have called it uh, a very generic title, Lovers in the End. I'm glad they didn't. Sleepless Lullabies. I mean, so many. If you want to go the lyric route of a song, they have a lot of uh, lyrics, lyric, lyrical lines they could have
But
pulled
I
from.
love Memento Mori
Oh,
because
yet,
the
no,
meaning of everything must die
yeah,
sums up their
no,
old man mentality on this album. It's like two old
yeah,
dudes just looking back on life and like chicks
yeah,
and
and
religion and
and yeah, and let me elaborate. I have absolutely no problem with the title Memento Mori. I think it is a beautiful uh, title. I think whereas they are often sarcastic or tongue in cheek in their album titles or even song titles. Uh, you said in one of the mini chats that Memento Mori, just as the album title, is their them not being sarcastic at
Yeah.
all. I don't know what's wrong with my nose. Uh, Pardon me.
Do you guys
Uh,
have the winds from the fires coming your way? Might be
uh,
itchy.
I may.
It's
Uh,
killer up here. Our sky's been orange for days, and my eyeballs are like, I want to rip them out of my face because Maine is like the least amount of pollutants in the country. And then
yeah,
so when the fire air comes over each summer lately, it's like, kill me because like
yeah.
we're not
Well,
used to
I mean, i-
this.
getting back the to the album proper, it's I'm glad they because for a second there they were thinking, well, Andy just died.
Yeah.
Should we even go ahead with this album? And I'm really glad they did
Oh yeah, me too.
because it's exactly what Andy would have wanted them to do. And the album, like songs like Ultra, is so poignant. Those three albums, if
Hmm.
you listen to them straight through, they're all poignant statements of the times they're written in.
Yeah.
And the only question I have about the lyrics are who the hell is Caroline and what is she doing with that monkey? Literally, that's the only song where I'm like,
Have you looked it up? Who wrote it?
Martin did. Uh,
Does he know a Caroline? Is he going to tell us?
I doubt it.
Or maybe it's
Uh,
just a random name.
but
Uh,
I mean, getting back to, uh, and this is the song People Are Good. It's probably the only time where they're blatantly ironic or sarcastic in the album. And why I
yeah.
bring that up is uh, people are people. It's from construction time again. I believe uh yeah that couldn't be on some great reward. Uh
Yeah, no, it's
but
construction. Is
I
it
mean
it's construction time, right?
yeah, construction time.
You double checking as a big Depeche Mode fan. I don't think it's some great reward because some great reward as master and servant,
No,
right?
actually, it is some great
Oh, for
reward.
freak's sake, we don't know what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
no, well,
It is some great reward, yeah.
they write a lot of songs, uh,
They
and
do. I mean, it's in the 80s they had to slam out the albums due to their contract.
yeah, I
Their
mean,
people were like they put an album out every year from 81 through 85. And so it's a little hard to keep up with like
yeah,
which album
and
what.
I mean, whether why I bring up people or people again, and it very well could have been written uh, during the time they're also doing uh, construction time in between construction time and uh, um, some great reward, uh, but it is, Yeah, it's their lead-off single of their fourth album,
Yeah,
Some
that's
Great
so great.
Reward. Why I'm bringing up such a song from their past is that, and that song sounds very much like it could be from either album. It's their growing up, and I don't want to say their naivete of people are trying the best they can. Uh, we're
Yeah.
all in this together, and people are good from Memento Mori are them looking
Mhm.
back and
Yeah.
saying, you can keep thinking that
Yeah.
people are good, but you're just fooling yourself.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, a beautiful look back
Yeah.
at what time and the years
Hmm.
of their lives
Yeah.
have taught them. And it's probably one of, if not the most, if not the only cynical point of the album
Yeah.
where their criticism is really in your face. Where they're very free in doing that a lot more often through their albums and
Hmm.
through their songs. Whereas this album, they only do it in
Yeah.
People Are Good.
I think you're right. That's a great tie-in. Is they, even I was rewatching the Making of People Are People the other day, and they were in Berlin when they made that, and very optimistic. They
Yeah,
were very young and optimistic. And I think you're right. Is now there's and they don't even like playing that one anymore, which is such a shame.
no,
It's a really good
it's
freaking
a
song.
shame, but I think it's
But
also Martin's way of updating that
yeah, I think you're right. Is
particular song.
yeah,
It's that, and I can understand why they don't really like to play it again. I mean, I don't think they like to play Everything Counts from construction
no, and
time.
that's such a good one. But let's
Yet,
geek out over more religious songs on this album, or
yeah.
vaguely religious. Are you ready to geek out over your
Oh,
fave?
yeah. Yeah.
All right, so Ghosts again. Ghosts again. Sorry, there's my speech impediment coming out. Ghosts
Oh,
again.
really? We have yet another thing in common.
I do. I have a speech impediment. I forget the technical term for it, but it's the
A
nickname is
lids.
lazy tongue. No, I don't
Lids.
have it's
Oh,
lazy tongue. So the
yeah.
muscle doesn't work.
Lazy tongue. Wow.
So TH, CH, SH, Z's, J's are hard. I have to really work at talking. I had speech therapy as a kid.
How I'm again
Yeah, look
questioning our entire
at
my my inability to know such an important thing about you.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
Look it
we
up.
all
Like
know
I said,
why I was distracted
there's
in college, and we certainly don't have to bring that up again. But goats again is
phenomenal.
really I I what?
It's phenomenal.
Yet, and I think it's the cornerstone of the album. And like we've mentioned in every episode, the lead off single on every album
Yeah.
is different than the last.
So
And while Martin and Richard Butler, his collaborator, obviously wrote that song before Andy passed.
the whole album was.
Yes,
The irony of Andy passing, because I know there's some rumors online that people are like, oh, these songs were created for him. I'm like, no. If it, they explicitly have stated in many interviews and even on the Smart List when they confirmed the entire album was written.
yeah,
Andy never got to hear the demos.
yeah,
So that's the sad, ironic part of it
yeah,
is they had this whole album and they said they were literally 2 weeks away from recording and were just about to set the demos in the mail to him
yeah,
because he's their keyboardist.
yeah,
And as we know, Andy doesn't write. So for the audience, if they're wondering, Andy never wrote anything.
no.
But he
And he
was a
was
loyal fan. He
the
was their biggest fan.
biggest fan
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
band. And
yeah,
he was in
yeah,
the fucking band.
yeah. And I think what makes Ghosts Again, I'm gonna geek out over it and take
Yeah,
over. Um, First off, it was their first single, and I heard it literally the week it came out. I got a notification in my email. It's like Depeche Mode has a new single. I'm like, what the fuck? So like I turned it on, and all I thought was how good it was, how
yeah,
happy it made me. And then I was like, well, what the freak? They say they don't like, but not like tonight, but they made this. Do they not see the irony? Like Ghost Again is just like their happy 80s sound. It's twinkly and bubbly. And I was so mad that they would like there are songs they don't play from the 80s because they feel it makes them too not Depeche Mode. And I'm like, but you made Ghosts Again. Get over
yeah.
yourselves and play but not like tonight in concert. But anyway, so I digress. I also think that the video going with it is so perfect. I mean,
Oh,
it's just
yes.
Dave and
It
Martin playing
is,
chess on a
it
top of a
is probably, if you had to pick one video that
yeah,
symbolizes and signifies
yeah,
the band as a whole
yeah,
and is totally and completely married perfectly
yeah,
to the song. It
yeah.
is Goats
It's a
again.
sadness that there's only two left. You know, they had
Yeah,
one band member ditch. Well, two since, the first
yeah,
first one on the first album, but then their long-term keyboardist Alan, who had replaced Vincent Clark, left feeling unrecognized and that was tragic. I think he was an awesome led them to their sound. And then,
yeah,
I think Andy going and the video is so sweet and the song is so sweet of again this there's nobody in particular they're singing about. It definitely is just about friendship or relationships in general.
yeah,
Is just we'll be ghosts again. And there's this sweetness to faith is, fleeting. And
yeah,
it's, and there's thoughtless thoughts and or faith is dreaming. Is that what he says? And there's thoughtless thoughts, my friend. Well, no, we'll
yeah,
be ghosts again. And there's this beautiful meaning to almost like an implication of reincarnation
yeah,
or that death is a cycle, life is a cycle. And there's this bizarreness that Depeche Mode's always been able to do is happy lyrics to like sad lyrics to happy sounding music. And
yeah. The chorus of the song is,
yeah, believe it or not, I don't always look up lyrics I can't hear because sometimes I just enjoy the
yeah,
feel of the song.
but uh, this song is so poignant that there's only they do two choruses. Faith is sleeping,
Sleeping.
lovers in the inn,
We know
whisper will be ghosts again.
again.
Heaven's dreaming,
I love that line.
thoughtless thoughts, my friends. We know we'll be ghosts again.
And this again is Dave when he sings his sweet baritone voice. This is young. I felt like when I heard this song, I felt like I was hearing young Dave again. I
Yeah,
felt like a little kid. I was like, whoa, how did they
yeah,
reverse his voice to sound like he's like 30
yeah.
years old again? And I think he just enjoyed recording it. I think a youthful side of him came out. I don't think they had to edit it so deeply. I think
No,
it's just,
I
I think
think
this, yeah,
both of them really enjoyed recording that song. Martin said in a interview about the album and about the song that it was finally a single that they recorded that he could stand to listen to and not get tired of,
yeah.
uh, which says a lot. I mean, I, uh, well, more so the background. The song marks the first single release since the death of co-founder and keyboardist Andy Fletcher in May 2022. Today, again, the song captures this perfect balance of melancholy and joy, while Martin Gore added that the song has such an upbeat feel to it. And
Yeah.
how rare it is for the band to record a song that, quote, I just don't get sick of listening to. Uh, Now, I never thought that uh, Martin or Dave were listening to their albums at home with their families. I
Yeah.
never thought that, particularly Martin. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like not something they would do. I mean,
It is cute to think about. Yeah.
yeah, it's really funny, like an alternate timeline. They're
Yeah.
jamming out to their own albums
Yeah.
at home, or
I think I read
gushing about their albums to their families.
I think you and I were talking about it, or I'd read somewhere that Dave played Ghosts again for his daughter and be like, it's catchy, right? Was like playing the demo. And he said he just kept playing it over and over again, listening to his voice and the music, and his daughter's like, it's okay. And he's like, well, whatever, I like it. And he's like, I just kept playing it. I thought it was like the best song we'd ever created. They really like Ghosts Again.
Yeah, and I mean, it shows, but like in Wagging Tongue, the only uh, proper album track that they've co-wrote together, their harmonies are so on point,
Yeah.
and it, it's like, and their entire mindset and their entire vocal registry throughout this entire album is so on point.
Yeah.
I mean, from my Cosmo, my my
And Cosmos is mine.
Cosmid, it's mine. There's my speech impediment. Yay! To speak yet. Oh, that's adorable. That would be adorable,
Thanks.
touche. To speak to me, which is a Dave track, and it's both eerie, haunting, but also incredibly, incredibly sensual in the music.
Yeah.
And
I want to get to Speak to Me,
Yeah.
but I know we're running out of time. Can I squeeze in Soul with Me and then we both end on Speak with Me? Because like,
My producer is not going to call me this time.
but I think we should say Speak with Me to end this, right? Because
Y-
it's the end. And if they
well,
never record again, that's the last one.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's very apt. I mean, yeah. Let's talk about soul with
Yeah, because I want to give Speak to Me what it deserves. So we can burst through Soul with Me really quick. So Soul with Me is a Martin song. He doesn't have any others on this album. That's a rarity. Martin
that
usually gets
he
multiple.
that he writes
Yeah,
by
yeah.
himself.
Yeah, yeah.
He's usually a he writes his songs
Yeah.
and
He typically gets like 2 to 3 on each album.
yeah,
And this time he took a back seat and did only background vocals. And this is his only solo song on the album.
yeah,
Um, and I think Soul with Me is directly religious. It's about facing death. And he just says, I'm heading for the ever after. And I
yeah,
mean, literally, I don't need to even describe more lyrics than that, other than he's like, I'm heading for the ever after. And then he sings, and I'm taking my soul with me. And
yeah,
it's this very interesting way to say you're dying, right? But I'm also
yeah,
taking my soul. I'm not leaving it behind, it comes with. And um I've never really thought too hard about the meaning other than that, but I really hated the song when it started out, much like Macro. We went over that one on Playing the Angel. And now I've listened to Macro on repeat all week because let's just talk about how fire that chorus is. And so
yeah,
I really think Soul with Me is the same freaking thing. Is it like psychs you out? It's like kind of lame when it starts and then it
yeah,
hits this like chorus that you're like, in your head like
yeah,
explodes. And so I think everybody, if they're ready to go down the weirdy part of Depeche Mode, like the
yeah,
weirdest of weird, So With Me nails it. Again, I think it was perfect for this album. I think it's a perfect Martin song. I wouldn't want it any other way.
yeah,
I just think people have to listen to it because when they put Martin's voice on reverb, it's like nothing you've ever heard before. And they
yeah.
do that on a
No,
few of the
it's
albums, but this one is like I literally picture his soul doing this, spreading
yeah,
out
yeah,
like into 1,000 men on the chorus because like
yeah, yeah,
and it's like all just like but like his
yeah,
voice is just echoing. Take my soul, and I just
yeah,
like when he's like with me, like
yeah.
it's like he normally doesn't go deep, but I think, and I
No,
almost wonder if Dave's voice is mixed in with that because it's so like yeah, it's incredible. So anyway,
yeah,
let's go to Speak with Me. Viewers have to listen to Soul with Me. It grows on you. Give it
yeah.
2 listens through because it's the first time doesn't hit the same way it hits on the second time.
All of the songs really grow on you. Like I said in one of our previous discussions, listened to Delta Machine, Spirit, and Memento Mori each once. And then I put them away so I can understand
Yeah.
how fans of the band, particularly their earlier work, which is substantial, their last 3 albums, this is a very different band. And
Yeah.
even when you get into songs of uh, sounds of the universe where they explore the cosmos probably to the nth degree.
Yeah.
They'll, they'll, those albums from Sounds to Metamori are a very different
Yes.
band
Yes.
than the albums before. And so I can understand why fans, and I've watched some fans tear those albums to shreds. Just
Which is
for the
ironic,
comic relief.
which is weird because Spirit apparently was one of their best-selling tours. Did you know
Yes,
that?
yes. No, I knew
And I
that
mean, Spirit's not
through,
a bad album. It's just
yeah,
not. It's not their top. I
no,
wouldn't
no,
put it.
but I mean, the, the last 3 or 4 albums, they've taken a more reflective an introspective
Yes,
view
yes,
of the world, and particularly on Memento Mori, that they're heading towards not only their golden years, but also to the end.
yeah,
And it's it's unmistakable with a album titled such as Memento Mori, which for anyone who doesn't know is Latin for remember you will die,
yeah,
which is probably the most perfect album title for a collection of songs that
yeah,
really explore the
yeah.
both
Also for a
the
band that is
vastness of the topics.
also for a band that has been extraordinarily vulnerable and weird and sexy since the beginning. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like if we're harkening back to Black Celebration, which they feel is truly their awakening. You know, they're
yeah,
like Construction Time and Some Great Reward were great. We were finding
yeah.
ourselves, but they really say Black Celebration set that like, ah, this is who we are.
Oh
Um,
yeah, and
and
you can totally
yeah,
hear that when you listen to that album through and don't skip a track,
yeah,
and you know what comes after that
yeah,
album. It was that album
yes,
that really nailed where they threw everything at the wall
everything.
and really
It goes
honed everything.
it goes from singing. You want your mind blown? My mind just got blown the other day. Question of Time, I found out, is apparently, which explains why Anton Corbin had them holding a baby in the video, is about a child eventually becoming a woman
Yeah,
and that a man will eventually get with her. And I was like,
yeah,
that's fucking weird. I never thought of this song that way. I always wondered what was up
really.
with the baby in the video
Wow.
with the clock in the background. I was like, what the hell? Why are these young
Wow.
24-year-olds holding babies? Um,
Well, I mean, my
naive me, whatever.
my
So like,
my mind was not blown because I was because
you knew that.
I mean when you harken back to the 3 topics that Martin has famously said he writes about relationships,
Yeah,
particularly sex,
yeah,
politics, and religion.
yeah.
And what else is there
And
to
that
write about?
Yeah, and that album hits it all. So it's like you're
Yeah,
rushing with Question of Time. Stripped is my favorite, literally like next to it's Enjoy the Silence and then Stripped. And Stripped is the bomb on that album. Vulnerable, they want literally are like stripped down to the bone. I want to know
yeah,
you right down to the bone. Then they go to like a song about Princess Diana,
yeah,
as a political metaphor for the experience of women and the media and like all these things, to Here is the House, which is an
yeah,
observation of memories of a sweet childhood and comfort. And they, like you said, like literally through everything. And I really think this is a full circle with Memento Mori, is we get
yeah,
to all the culmination of their lives, Ultra, Songs of Faith, and like we were talking about that it's like Black Celebration, Songs of Faith and Devotion, Ultra, I think lead you up to Memento Mori.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And get you to this point of like this full circle, and we end with Speak With Me, which is about death. It's just accept,
Yeah,
literally, like Martin's song is Soul With Me, but then you get to the end with Dave, and he's literally not asking or saying I'm seeing it coming. It's like he's there.
yeah,
He's in the ever after, and he's already, you can see, cross the bridge, and he's
yeah,
just floating up to where he's supposed to go. And they even, this song is using those weird space sounds
yeah,
and this like I don't know if you've seen the show Loki, but
yeah,
yeah, if you haven't, just listen to the soundtrack. It
yeah.
literally sounds just like that. It's like that weird like 50s woo, like weird woo sounds. And it's,
And the the last lyrics of the album, and I'll read them because
yeah, please
they're
do.
so beautiful. And by last lyrics, I literally mean the last verse of the entire song. Uh, which for some reason I can't really find very easily, which is annoying. Hold on, I'm getting them.
Does he sing I will disappoint you? I
Uh,
will let you down.
so I will disappoint you. I will let you down. I need to know you're here with me. Turn it all around. I'll be grateful. I'll follow you around. I'm listening. I'm here now.
Yeah.
I'm found.
Yeah.
And then the instrumental outro does that woo woo sound,
Yeah.
but it also harkens back to the intro of my Cosmo.
Yeah.
My, yeah,
Also an intensely weird song that people need to give a deep dive to.
yeah, and
Uh,
I mean, it's such a master stroke of a album where it's it definitely demands to be listened to and re-listened to. Like
yes.
the the first time I really gave it its due, which was the second time I listened to it, I immediately listened to it again.
Yeah.
It just felt like that was the right thing to do. The thing the band themselves expected the listener to do after
Yeah.
they hit the final few instrumental moments of the final track, because it goes directly back to the opening of My God's Most is Mine.
Yeah.
And that is just a poignant uh, way to end the album, whereas Ultra does it brilliantly with Freed State, the bottom line, and
Yeah. I
insight.
love the bottom line. Yeah.
And yeah, and we'll talk about it more in the next series we do, which we'll discuss in just a moment. But getting back to my all-time favorite song on Some Great Reward,
We're going back.
which we've talked about
So much.
their uh, biting sarcasm, uh, and somebody is a passionate love
Yeah.
song until the final the final line of the song, and we'll not talk about the final line to uh, hook people to the next series. But the reason why I go back to somebody is that the bottom line seems like he's found what he was looking for
Yeah.
in the earlier song, but years later, and in the made up continuity of my mind. It's,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
And
think you're right. Martin's told a story all these years. If you play the
yes,
songs in order, they're all at his different age and perspective
yeah,
and what he's found. And I think even somebody can be compared to even Speak With Me
yeah,
as a again, that this album is really an acceptance album
yeah,
of just like this is life. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
so there's even the sarcastic song is just pointing that out, right? In just
yeah,
a sarcastic way of like, this is a reality. I'll just keep telling myself people are good. And
yeah,
I think somebody is poignant to kind of the darkness, the way they see things so darkly. And we'll definitely go into that one more on the next series without
sure,
giving away the final lyric. And
yeah,
I just think I can't say enough good things about Memento Mori. I did have to give it 2 listens. I would definitely tell any audience member you got to give them a couple listens. But if they were to continue, I want a dance album. I want strictly an album with headbangers on it. Otherwise,
yeah,
I don't want to hear anything else from them because I really think there's no way to top the depth of this album. So I feel like if you're gonna keep going, I don't want depth. I just want like enjoy the silence on repeat and soothe my soul and I feel loved. I just
yeah,
want bangers like left and right because this album's ability to transcend, as we're talking about, their entire career
yeah,
and still find a new sound
yeah,
without losing themselves is I don't think any other bands really achieved that. I mean, I haven't given a deep dive to the Rolling Stones, who are pretty much one of the only other, solid bands out there that have stuck together and
yeah.
made new music,
And
not
you
touring
too.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the
Yeah,
touring bands, right? There, I've seen some of the touring bands like REO Speedwagon. There's not a lot of new music, as I mean, there probably is, but like they just play the same hits over and over. Um, I'm talking a band that gets up and does a concert like Depeche Mode did and does a whole new album. You know what I
yeah,
mean at the concert. And the only shame to the Memento Mori tour there was my Cosmos is mine didn't translate well at the arena I was at. I don't know how it
yeah,
sounded anywhere else, but it sounded like noise. It was like, oh, I hope the rest of the concert's not like this. And then it
yeah,
it leveled out. So I'm like, that's not a good live song, but on record, it is.
yeah.
You just got to give. Speak to
It,
Me is just brilliant.
yeah. My cosmos is mine. It's definitely the perfect opener to Memento
Yeah,
Mori, just like Speak to Me is the perfect closer,
yeah,
and not because they loop each other like bookends, but it's like, again, in terms of concept albums like I Feel You and Higher Love
yeah,
on Songs of Faith and Devotion. If you just look at those two songs and then the two songs we just talked about,
yeah,
when they really want to be reflective, be sensitive,
yeah,
be ballsy but unique.
yeah,
They can be. And so we're at the end of this mini series, but don't worry, just like we can't get enough, the the jokes write themselves, people.
Yeah, for real.
uh, since we've had such a fun time uh, looking at the overall musicality of Depeche Mode through a spiritual lens. And again, I got this idea from listening to Ultra one too many times.
Freaking amazing album. People need to
Yet
listen.
I want to harken back on the next series, which will be appropriately called Depeche Love and Devotion, where we take a look at their songs and the musicality through a love and relationships. And so that's gonna come out next month, or we're gonna record it next month sometime, maybe this month. But so you'll see and hear from us again. I want to thank Alaina Mallet for so many things, but most importantly, this wonderful band, which I scarcely can imagine me finding without your persistence and your tenacity. I don't know what motivated you to share this band with me. We were both very different people then, but as I said on the first interview we did together, whenever I listened to this band, I thought of you and I wished you well. I said a prayer for my incredible friend who introduced me to one of the most brilliant musical acts that I have ever listened to. And so, thank you again, my friend.
Well, thank you. I don't even know what to say to that, but thank you. Thanks.
I'll see you soon.
I will see you soon. I don't have any puns. I'm sorry.